Someone asked me this one. I'm a super no bullshit coach. I have compassion in my heart for my clients. However, I will not let them sit in their shit. I would rather be alone than be surrounded by people who are not on that same wavelength as me. One of those things that was holding me back was that relationship. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, was let that go.
Was it you that stopped everything?
Yeah. How can you expect people to want to hang out with you or you to connect deep with people in your external experience if you do not even connect deep with yourself? I've spent over $60,000 in mentorships and coaching and courses. The best advice I have ever received would be to trust yourself.
There will be a point in which you will have to take a leave and just trust that you will land. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
To be realistic.
Let me tell you, you look gorgeous. And you're wearing my favorite color, so it should be a great conversation. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, I'm always in blue. You'll always see me in blue or red. They're like my brand colors, so.
Yeah, blue is completely my color. Mm-hmm. If you're new here, my name is Nelson and I'm the host of the Creative Grid podcast, a space committed to help creative entrepreneurs accomplish their dreams. We normally have extraordinary individuals as guests. Today is not exception. Today's guest, she's a former PT that decided to pursue her dream of becoming a high performance mindfulness coach. And she's the host of the Generation Elevation podcast. Please welcome Elise Riley.
Hello, Nelson. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's awesome that when you start pursuing the things that you love, somehow you started to become a magnet to attract like-minded people and the kind of people that you just want to be in touch with. So a former guest, Nat, recommended it. She's like, hey, you should have my best friend on the podcast and stuff. I checked your stuff. I'm like, yeah, she's a great fit. So here we are. First time meeting each other as well.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. So for people that have no idea who you are, can you give us a bit of a storyline?
A storyline. Oh, okay. Yes. So essentially, like Nelson said, my beautiful friend Nat has previously been on the podcast. And Nelson also mentioned that I'm the host of the Generation Elevation podcast and a high performance mindset coach. So essentially, I started my journey as a personal trainer back in 2017, 2018. So I went through that journey of bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff and really just trying to make a name for myself in the industry being so young. And for me, I went all the way to year 12, and the purpose of really having my PT business was just so I could make really good money and have that business on the side, but also still have time to study and get good grades at school. So essentially it was just a bit of fun at that time. And for me, after school, I began to realize that I didn't find anything else that was in uni in regards to university that really tickled my fancy. It wasn't something that I was 100% passionate about, like physio, osteo. Those were all subjects that were potential doors for me that I could have jumped on. However, for me, I just knew in my soul that they weren't the right fit. And so I decided to take a gap year, but my gap year was business. So I decided to just grow my personal training business and became really successful in that space. And after a while, I started studying nutrition as like a diploma. And over time, people started coming through my doors, through my business, and getting really good results. And so for me, it was important that when clients signed up with me, that they would get that transformation that they had wanted when they first walked in the door. Yeah. And I started asking questions. There came a period where I would start receiving clients that were not getting the results that they'd signed up for, or potentially they were saying that they wanted to lose weight or look sexy in a bikini, right? And they weren't doing the things that I was telling them to do. So I started asking questions like, why do we do things that we say we want to do, but then we don't actually do them? Like, why do we say we want something and then not follow through on that? Or why do we do the things that we do? Why do we say the things that we say? And I started asking questions around human behavior and self-sabotage, procrastination, all the things that hold people back from achieving those big great dreams and goals. So for me, my journey started off with those two questions, really. Why and how can I help someone get that transformation and sustain it long term? So that was, I guess, a bit about my journey and how I then started to create, go deep into the mindset space and create the Generation Elevation movement.
That's awesome. In your observation, what do you find of why people then don't stick to what they say they're gonna do?
Yeah, there's several reasons why that is. So along that journey, I started to go deep into mindset. So I'm a master practitioner in NLP and hypnosis, and I went into that space wanting to understand the human brain and what makes someone successful. Right, this is the Creative Grit podcast, right? The grit, that the work that you have to do to get to where you want to be, that success. What makes someone successful versus what makes someone not? And that was my question that I kept asking. What gives someone that full transformation, mind, body, soul versus not? And so for me, the biggest things that I teach my clients about self-sabotage is you have your conscious mind and then your subconscious mind. Now, this is a psychology term and it's widely used in that space and something that I use with clients. It's something that I've seen results with time and time again. However, it isn't a neuroscience term, so please keep that in mind. However, in psychology, they say the conscious mind makes up 10% of the things that we do. It's like our thinking, our short-term memory, things like this. And then our subconscious mind actually takes up 90% of the things we do, say, and behave like. So our addictions, our patterns, our behaviors, our long-term memory, our intuition, and our autonomous bodily functions. So the way our heart beats and we breathe, we don't have to consciously think about that all the time. By the time you're 35, 95% of the things that you do will be subconscious patternings and behaviors. So, Nelson, quick question. Have you ever been driving, right? And honest answers here only, okay?
Yeah.
And listeners, if you've been driving, and you might be able to relate to this, whereby you've been thinking about your day or thinking about that person at work and what they said, and then all of a sudden you get to where you wanted to be and you're like, how did I just stop at all of those red lights and go through all the green lights? Like, I don't even remember the past 10 minutes of this drive. I've been somewhere else. Have you felt like that before?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we've all had those moments whereby we're living in that autopilot. And I know everyone listening to this right now would know someone else in their life who lives their life almost asleep, whereby they wake up the same, they brush their teeth the same, they eat the same breakfast, they have the same conversations, they're in that same job that they lived for the past 10 years, same house, same relationship, and nothing's really moving or changing. That's like living life asleep and in that subconscious state. Now, the subconscious, because it takes up most of what we do, say, think, behave like, right? That thing is always going to be going towards pleasure and away from pain. So what we consciously choose, if you think about right now, what are your top 3 goals? Okay, if you're listening, just think about those top 3 things that you really want in your life. And then that is just your conscious pleasure, what you think that you want. Okay, and remember, what we think makes up 10% of what we do, right? And then we have our subconscious mind that potentially may not think that thing that we really want consciously is pleasurable. So that's where we get a misalignment between what we consciously want and what we subconsciously want, because our subconscious will protect us from pain. It will keep us safe. It's where our ego lies. It's like always wanting to keep us safe in that comfort zone, right? And we know that growth is only made outside of the comfort zone. So to go beyond that comfort zone, to achieve those goals, I've got goosebumps right now, guys. To go beyond the comfort zone, to get uncomfortable, to face those fears and take that leap into the unknown, which is where, let's be honest, guys, that's where all of our dreams lie. We need to let go of those subconscious patterns and fears and limiting beliefs holding us back to go after what we consciously want. And sometimes that's where we see that self-sabotage play out, answering your question that if you are self-sabotaging that fitness goal per se, or that relationship or that career, you're not getting a certain amount of clients in every month with your business, or you keep injuring yourself in your sport, potentially there's a misalignment between what you consciously want and what you subconsciously want.
That's beautiful information right there. That's golden nuggets. A lot to swallow, right? A lot to digest right there.
Yeah.
But I want to make a quick stop right there with the subconscious, because basically some people might be listening to this and they will be like, oh, so that's that voice that I have in my head that is consistently telling me that I can't do this, that I can't do that, second guessing, doubting yourself, telling you that maybe you're not enough, that you can't achieve all these things. How do we make that subconscious then play with us? How do we become a team together instead of being one against each other?
Such a good question, Nelson. Thank you. This is something that I work deeply with my one-on-one clients. And what I'm going to give you today is this. When we see that misalignment between what we want and what we subconsciously want, then we get that self-sabotage and procrastination and things like this. And that voice starts to come up saying, oh, what if I fail? What if I make a mistake? What if this is the worst decision of my life? Like, I've had these thoughts for myself personally come up in my own journey. And the best way to break past that is to break the actual pattern of the thought loop itself. Now, I don't know if you have heard of Joe Dispenza, and he is one of my mentors. So when you think a thought, it produces chemical reaction in the body, which then creates the emotion, okay? And then this emotion produces hormones in the body, which then actually creates an electromagnetic field around you. So if you are constantly thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'm dumb, or I don't know enough, I'm not ready, whatever those negative things that you say to yourself, if you keep thinking that, it's called a thinking feeling loop. You're going to think the same things, you're going to feel shit about it, and then you're going to think more thoughts that are going to make you feel shit and feel even worse. So you can imagine the electromagnetic field around your body, it's going to be quite contracted. The vibration, the energy of that is going to be contracted. Now, when you walk into a room, you automatically can know, if you allow yourself to, you can kind of tell how someone else is feeling without even saying a word. Like those of you that have partners, maybe they get home from work and you're like, oh, better not talk to them today because something is off, right? That's because you're actually communicating with their electromagnetic field around their body. Now, how do we break this thinking feeling loop so we can think good thoughts, feel better, and then think even better thoughts than that? And obviously change the electromagnetic field around your body and change our energy. Okay. And then this is where Joe Dispenza says, you've got to break the habit of being yourself. You've got to break that thought pattern. And the way that I teach my clients to do that is literally an NLP technique called a pattern break. So essentially I get my clients, so if they're feeling contracted and in a depressive state, you would imagine, right now, if you were to act as depressed as you could possibly act, how would you sit? How would you stand? How would you breathe? How would your facial expression be? Just do that now and try, right? How would you sit? You'd be kind of like, right? But
I can't even do that because I don't believe in that. I can't be depressed. I can't be all these things.
But just for the sake of the exercise, to pretend, it's quite hard when you're not feeling that, right? Yeah. But if you are, it's quite difficult. And you go into that depressive state, whatever that looks like to you. And then if you think about, what would an empowered person think? Okay, what would an empowered person act like? How would they stand? How would their facial expression be? And then automatically you stand up taller, your shoulders are back, your chest is up, your head is high, your eyes are up. And that's how you start to continue living your life. With my clients, I get them to quack like a duck, drop down, do 10 push-ups. I get them to stand like Wonder Woman or Superman, or change their state and break that pattern. That is how we stop the loop of those negative thoughts. Secondly to that, I would say, if you have this voice saying, I'm not good enough, or what if I fail? Ask yourself, when did I decide that? Or when did you decide that you weren't good enough? And what if you actually are? What if you succeed? What if you are good enough? What if you do know enough? Yeah. What if you are really smart? Then what? How would you then show up? that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, love it. Love it. There's so many golden nuggets in there. Honestly, it's so cool as well to hear someone break it down with also information that comes from people like Joe Dispenza, which is such a legend. Mm-hmm. Have you done any of his courses, like private mentorship? What have you done with him?
I'm going to Melbourne next week, actually, to go to one of his seminars. Nice. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, I actually found out about his work not long ago.
Oh, wow.
Like maybe 5 months ago or something, or even less than that. So now a lot of things that I apply in my life, it's like, oh, that makes sense why it works. You know, I didn't have a way to kind of articulate to other people why it would work, or even like, let's say science approval of it, you know, science proof of it, which is what I like about Joe Dispenza, that you can tell a lot of things to people, but when you have science proof behind it or studies behind it, it's way different, because it's like, yeah, this is an actual fact, you know, this works like this. So yeah, that's awesome. What kind of what's the most common problem that you find within your clients?
Within my clients, so I work with some of the world's top athletes and entrepreneurs, and the number one thing that comes up is that misalignment between what they consciously want and then the subconscious actually wanting a totally opposite thing. So for athletes, a lot of the time we see injury coming up and their thoughts actually manifesting in the body as disease, illness, injury. And that is just simply a manifestation of that misalignment and that fear coming into the body. With entrepreneurs, usually it's not so much about business, because that's where they're really great. That's their comfort zone. Yeah. So usually it comes from behind the scenes. When you are a high performer, and if you're listening to this and you're someone that is a perfectionist, we usually see very high highs and then the inability to deal with the lows. And because of the sensitivity to energy, these people are very attuned and quite psychic, if you believe in that. And I essentially just believe that psychics are people that are really in tune with their emotions and energy around them, the electromagnetic field that I was talking about before. If you're really sensitive to that and you're experiencing those really high highs, then when you're going through those lows, it can be really, really low. And that's where you see addictions and all sorts of behaviors and patterns play out that are going to then impact that person and their business and their career.
How long does it take you to fully transform someone? When you get a client, like right now, life sucks for them, they're not getting things right, you start working with them. How long does it take for an average person to like get to the other side?
It depends on what sort of transformation you're talking about. However, an hour session with me, and I guarantee you have movement in your energy to where you want to be. And essentially that's what we do with Generation Elevation. It's helping you tap into the frequency of your higher self.
Yeah, nice. An hour. So in an hour, you can fully break all those old beliefs and be like, hey, this is what you need to do and this is where you need to go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what kind of services do you offer for people?
Yeah. So at the moment I work one-on-one, and that's quite limited in my capacity to do that. So I have a 12-week coaching program that is just a shortened breakthrough type thing. So really going back to past traumas, limiting beliefs, anything that is quite major, that is a low of a vibrational energy, a contracted emotional state, or things that have happened in the past. We kind of go back and heal them, and then that's it. Then for my long-term clients, I have a 20-week mentorship at the moment that I offer, and that's coaching calls once a week with me for an hour, and we go through literally everything. We go through all the past stuff, and then we focus on how we can start becoming a better person, how we can manifest what we want, whether that be playing at the top level of your sport or potentially like breaking those barriers with income in your business. There's all sorts of things that I work on. My clients are from all parts of the world and very unique, and my process is very individualized to that person.
Yeah, nice. You mentioned hypnosis. Can you break that down for someone that because I think not many people really understand what that is. Could you explain it for us?
Yeah, so I guess the way that I do hypnosis, it's very different to other practitioners. For me, essentially, it's just changing the brainwave patterns and changing your state to a more calm, relaxed place. So you're therefore going to be more susceptible to any like projections or things that are going to help empower you. So for me, I use hypnosis as an empowerment type thing and a tool whereby I help the client relax into more of a subconscious state. We can easily access their subconscious mind and any limiting beliefs or anything that's holding them back, that misalignment that we spoke about before, that's holding them back from what they consciously want. And therefore, we can kind of rewire the brain, the thought patterns through hypnosis to help release anything that's no longer serving that person and help them come to the realization a little bit more effortlessly and easily that they can do those things that they want to do if they believe they can, if they choose to do so. So that's kind of what I use hypnosis for, is more of an empowerment tool.
Yeah, nice. You just mentioned a powerful word in there, believe. Believe, something key to conquer life and achieve anything you want and build the life of your dreams. How does someone works on their belief? How can get that confidence, that 100% belief, that certainty that, yes, I can get this done?
There's an amazing quote. I'm not sure if you know this, Nelson. If you're in this space, I'm sure you have. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you are right. Okay, so essentially, belief is what creates your destiny. If you think about those big, scary dreams and goals that you have that you've just kept to yourself and you've told no one about, because what if you share it and then people tell you to be realistic? Because that's what's happened to me multiple times, whereby I've shared my passions and my goals, and I've had people turn around in my face that I've cared about and say, Elise, like, you should choose something a little bit more realistic and a bit more achievable. And so in the past, I would create these goals and make them smaller and go, oh, well, I probably shouldn't aim for that. I'll just aim for the roof rather than the sky. So if you have limiting beliefs such as I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy, this is going to stop you and limit your potential on this planet, in this earth. Like, if you think about, why are you here? Are you here to get to the end of your life and regret not taking that action on that thing that you wish that you could have done back then? Or are you here to squeeze the most out of life and go for it? Are you here to have the grit and the determination so that you can go out there and succeed in that thing that you are meant to be doing, your destiny? Everyone has their own path and purpose on this planet. I truly believe we all have our own soul's journey that we go on. And essentially, if you believe that you can, you will get to explore that from the most limitless potential possible. Versus if you believe you can't, you'll explore that soul journey through the avenue of not achieving the success and the destiny that you deserve, that is there waiting for you. It essentially is a choice. So your question, how do you believe in yourself? Well, I guess what I would be asking myself or my clients or you guys that are listening here today, I would encourage you to ask, well, if I'm focusing on what I can't do, that's going to expand, right? What you focus on expands. So if you're wanting to do something, if you have a goal in mind, whether it be in the creative space, right, or in sport or in your business, whatever that may be, if you have a goal and you are a little bit uncomfortable, it's outside of your comfort zone, maybe it feels a little bit of a stretch, go back and focus on all the times that you achieved something. Go back and focus on why you can succeed and muster up all the possible proof that you can in your whole life of the times that you jumped out of the comfort zone and it served you. Because the more evidence you have of that, the more you can teach your logical, conscious mind that it's okay and that when you do take that next leap, you're going to be fine. You're going to be better off than you were before, because if you think about all those times that you did that in your life, hey, you're listening to this today, so it must have worked out all right.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, and you just mentioned something key in there, which is looking back to the proof that you have. Because what I explain to people normally is that it's not enough to shout affirmations to a mirror and say like, oh, I will become successful, I will be a millionaire, I will do this and do that, if you don't have any proof. Because then your brain, your subconscious mind will be like, wait, you're telling me we're going to be a millionaires, but all we have known is being poor. And you always say that we can't afford this, we can't afford that. Like, how can I believe you, and how can I even give you the right actions to do if all I ever know is being poor? So even though you do have to change the language in how you speak to yourself and the things that you even think about, that's the other thing, like actually thinking like, yeah, you know what, I can become a millionaire. Why not? You know, there's a gazillion people that have become millionaires. It's just not very common. And you probably are, and your environment is probably not the right one as well. Because a lot of people want to be millionaires, but they surround themselves with, let's say, poor people. And I'm giving just this example because it's what always comes to mind to myself, because that's my main mission right now, is becoming financially free.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, it stays is one that comes to mind, but it could be anything really in life, even being fit. If you want to have a six-pack, for example, and you're just hanging out with obese people and unhealthy people, I guarantee you it's going to be very difficult to get there, because everything you're seeing is people eating donuts, sugar, having unhealthy habits. So very likely you will be the one person in your group to get a six-pack. Whereas if you surround yourself with a bunch of athletes and people that take this seriously and they all have six-packs, and you're the only one that doesn't have six-pack, guess what? You will want to be the sixth person in that group that will have the six-pack. So you will do everything it takes, and you will have also the best advice for it to get there. So yeah, like Alex Hormozi has a really good quote that explains that. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's somewhere like, you don't become confidence by shouting things to a mirror. You become confidence by having a stack of undeniable proof that you say who you say you are. So basically, the more you do something, the more you can build your confidence, and the easier it is to be like, look back, like you were saying, and be like, wait, why do I think I can't be a millionaire when I already, work for myself? Someone has already paid me money for my skills that has been growing. Why couldn't I make it to $1 million, let's say? So it's like by stacking that all that proof that you've been accumulating through years, and on top of that, then switching the language that you have for yourself, and you start creating that belief, like when it gets to a place as well where it's completely certainty. Like right now, my belief that I can do anything I want is unshakable, it's unbreakable. No one can tell me like, you can't do that, you can't do this. I'll be like, I don't believe you. I believe myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what have you dealt with in the past that has led you to become who you are? What has been like can you share some of the biggest struggles that you have gone through, and how do you overcome them?
The biggest struggles. The first thing that comes to mind is, I guess for me, I never look at my struggles as just that and something that happened to me, right? Whenever things happen to me or to my clients, I teach them to reframe these things as happening for us. So the things that have shaped me to who I am today, whereby it was uncomfortable, in high school, actually, I experienced quite severe bullying. And for me, this was teaching me a lot about loving and accepting myself, knowing that I need to just stay in my lane and keep moving, keep going, because it's all going to be worth it in the end. And looking back now, I just know that whole time of my life was just reflecting back to me the inner thoughts that I had about myself, like being a teenage girl going up in high school. Like there was lots of insecurities and comparison and body image things that would come through, and the bullying was just a outward reflection of my my mind and mirroring back to me what was going on there. So that definitely was a time in my life that at the time was a struggle. And now looking back, I know that that was just a blessing that shaped me to who I am today. Secondly, I had an awakening per se in about 2020 when everything was going crazy in the world. And for me, my experience was shifting my business online and ending a really long-term relationship. For me, I was quite a people pleaser and in the past. And the reason that was because I knew I was different, and I thought by people pleasing, I would actually fit in and finally be accepted, right? And the funny thing about that is, like, people in my outward experience would only accept me if I was to actually accept myself. So life was teaching me that it's my mirror, right? Everything that's happening to you, around you, is happening for you to show you what's going on within. And for me, I grew up in a society that teaches us that to find happiness, to find love, to find success, it's all outward, and that you need external resources or people, things, places to make you feel that way. And for me, I grew up relying on conditions to get me to feel that emotion. However, all of these experiences have shown me that actually, at the end of the day, all of those feelings, love and success and health and all of those things, happiness, come from within. And it was that moment where I was spent most of lockdowns literally listening to podcast after podcast after podcast on ×2 speed, and I'd go for 3-hour walks every day trying to find the answer of what was wrong with me, because I was experiencing major anxiety, and I was just asking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? When actually there was nothing wrong with me at all. And it was just that I was looking for all these answers outside of myself. And one day I just got so frustrated, I took my headphones out and I looked at the sky and I was like, what is going on? Like, help me. And at the time I wasn't very spiritual at all then. And the clairaudient experience I had was very profound. I just got this giant word, meditate, in my head, meditate. And I thought, oh, I don't have time for that. Meditate, meditate, meditate. I don't have time. I was like, okay, I'll dedicate 5 minutes a day and just see what happens for a week. And if it's nothing, then I won't do it. But if it's something, then I'll continue on. And I have meditated every single day since then. And that is where I found my most inner clarity on some of the most hardest decisions that I've had to make, which was leaving a 5-year relationship, moving states from Melbourne to Queensland by myself at 20, bringing my business online, and then completely letting go of my personal training business. Like, all of these decisions I made through the clarity that I found through meditation, which is just knowing the self and knowing that all of these emotions, the clarity, the happiness, the peace, everything that we have been taught to search for comes from within.
Yeah, completely agree. All the answers are within.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone that doesn't practice meditation, how do you do it? What recommendations would you give to someone of how to do it? Because a lot of people I've noticed, they all have like different approaches to it, different times that they spend meditating, different times of day as well. Like, what's your approach like?
That is a really brilliant question. Thank you for asking.
For a brilliant guest.
Thank you. There's so many rules and regulations out there on how and what and how meditation should look like and be. And I'm going to throw out a very unconventional approach and say it doesn't have to feel like anything. Essentially, it can be however long you want it to be. It can be standing up, sitting down, walking. It could be sitting with your legs crossed with your crystals on the full moon, or it could just be while you're getting ready to go out, listening to music, and you're ready to go out and play for the World Cup. Essentially, it really doesn't matter, because meditation is just a process of knowing the self and getting to know you you're like what's going on internally, your own inner world. Like how can you expect people to want to hang out with you or you to connect deep with people in your external experience if you do not even connect deep with yourself? And that is the process of meditation. It's just getting to know you as a being. And so for my clients, I say, do it however you want to do it. There's no rules. You don't have to human in our sessions together. You can be yourself, just create that space and allow for you to be yourself and allow that to come through. Some tangible things to take away from this podcast today, if you're listening, I would just start with setting aside minimum 5 minutes. 5 minutes in your morning. The first thing in the morning is probably the best time to do it because the first 15 minutes when you wake up, your subconscious mind is going to be most active. So those ideas, those the pieces of clarity that come through will be very much so likely to come then. So I do my meditation first thing in the morning, and sometimes I do 5 minutes, sometimes I do half an hour, sometimes I do an hour. It really just depends. And for me in my life right now, I'm doing a lot of in-person events and I don't have time to do the half an hour ones. So I'll bring it back to 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'll do that. If you are new, I would just focus on getting into the discipline of it because it can be easy to go, oh, I don't have time, and brush it off and use that as more of a procrastination technique, okay? Really push yourself and stretch your comfort zone with what you could actually do. Like I remember I was going through a bit of like a sticky period through business and I set it upon myself. I'm going to do 3 times a day for half an hour and see what happens. And the clarity that I received, the vibration that I got on was so different. And that was because I simply just pushed myself and I said that I was going to do something and I followed through on it. So if you're getting people in your external experience saying, oh, like that they're going to do something and then they don't follow through on it, whether you're getting ghosted or whatever's going on in your life, ask yourself, where are you saying you're going to do something and you're not following through on that? Start doing those things that you keep saying that you're going to do. And when you do that, life will just happen for you. Everything will line up. And I guarantee you that grit of doing the things will get you to that success that you are dreaming of.
By the way, I love the way you use the word grit all the time, like just sneaky put it in there. I like it. I like it. She's on the team for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% right with that. I want to go make a quick stop there. You mentioned that one of the difficult times you have had was leaving your relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something very relatable for people. And I would guarantee you have some clients that have come to you with relationship issues. So what happened in your case and what have you found with your clients like is the common problem when it comes to relationships?
The common problem is definitely self-sabotage, and whereby like you want a relationship and you also don't want to have a relationship, and it's that mixed messaging of both and the misalignment of conscious pleasure and subconscious pleasure. So that's what I see most commonly come up. For myself personally, my journey, I'm so appreciative of that time of my life because that had a huge role to play on who I am today. Like that was 5 years of my life from 14 to 20. And this person, he was older than me. So I would definitely leveled up, I guess you could say, and matured quite faster compared to a lot of people. And that's why I think that I'm able to communicate in the way I do now purely because of that time in my life and spending so much time with people that were older than me. So for me, I remember going through that time and like I said, I was a bit of a people pleaser. I was young and I was very in love. This person was perfect on paper. I wrote down all the things that I wanted in a guy, and I
perfect on paper.
Yeah, literally.
Describe it. What's perfect.
My friends, they call me the manifesting queen because I'll say what I want and it comes down to like this guy had the car that I wanted him to drive. It was so specific. And for me, I remember going through it was 2019, just before 2020, and one of my friends in my year level that we graduated with actually passed away. So he was 19, and I remember that time in my life was like, holy shit, not everyone lives till they're old. And it was a huge wake-up call for me. And I think he was actually quite a huge catalyst into why I do what I do now. Because for me, it's so important to live my life with absolute no regrets. Like not wishing that I coulda, woulda, shoulda, and knowing that I did everything possible that I could have done to live the life and squeeze as much as I could out of life as possible for the time that I am here, whether it be just for today and then I'm gone tomorrow, or for like years to come. I know in my heart that that's the case. However, you just really don't know at the end of the day, right? So for me, I got to that point and I was like, okay, well, I feel like in my life right now, all I am is a personal trainer and a girlfriend. I don't feel like I have a personality. Like that was my identity. That was my ego at the time. And I knew on a soul level that there was more to my potential. And I know that people listening to this right now will be able to resonate, whereby I say that sometimes like you can be happy, but you know that there's more. It's like when you go to a restaurant, and your favorite restaurant, you order the same meal every time and you like what you order. So that's why you order it all the time. But you go with a friend, let's say you and I go, and then I order something different to what you do. And you're kind of looking at my food going, hang on a sec, that looks really good. I didn't even know that was on the menu. And then next time you go and you try it and you realize that that was the best meal you've ever tried. And why did I just waste all of my time eating the same meal every single day that was kind of good when I could have been having something extraordinary? My soul knew that was out there waiting for me, and I just had to go out there and grab it. And one of those things that was holding me back from that was that relationship. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, was let that go.
Was it you that stopped everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because I've met so many people that they are extremely smart. They might be killing it in business. They might be great athletically or physically. But when it comes to relationships, they get blindsided. They're dumb. They choose the wrong partner, and then in consequence, their life, eventually they have some sort of really negative experience. And in countries like this as well, it can be quite difficult because you have all this stuff of like, oh, I take 50%, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I'm always curious to see like, what have you found with relationships? Because it's a big area for everyone, and it goes as well to why we do things and all this stuff. There's always someone, you know, that you care about, that you want to take care, maybe your family or someone. So relationships, I think, is a very important part of the whole human experience, I would say.
100%, definitely. Relationships teach us so much about ourselves. The people that we attract into our life are our biggest mirror, especially if you have a partner. They're going to shine back to you your brightest light, and all the things you love about them, they are within you. And that is why you love them so much, right? You're like, oh my gosh, this is the best feeling ever. They're just reflecting back to you your magic. And then things that kind of trigger you, piss you off. Maybe they don't do the dishes like you said that they would, right? Those things, their shadow is just reflecting back to you your shadow, right? And they're going to mirror you so perfectly, whereby you get to learn about yourself. Relationships are a vehicle to spiritual awakening. And relationships will teach you a lot about yourself. And if you think about the 5 people you spend the most time with, like you said earlier about your environment, the people that you surround yourself with, they most likely will have the same routine, the same breakfast routine. They'll get up at the same time. They'll go to sleep at the same time. They'll have similar interests. They will speak the same usually. And that's because they're our mirror, and your vibe attracts your tribe, like that electromagnetic field that I spoke about earlier, right? We're always like communicating, and it's how is it that we can walk into a room and out of all the people there, we always end up talking to that person that is just like me, right? That's because our energy is always communicating. And so these people, if you think about that are in your life, are they reflecting back to you who you want to be? Or are you wanting to change and, I guess, sit at a different table? That's how I would frame that.
If someone is listening to this right now and they're like, okay, I get it. I'm surrounded by losers and people that don't want anything special in life. They just want to live an average life. But I feel like I'm different. I want something bigger than myself. I just want to squeeze everything like you're saying, Elise. What should I do? What should you tell to this person?
As in, they want to squeeze the most out of life. They know that there's more out there for them. Mm-hmm. And you said that they're surrounded by losers?
Yes, they're surrounded by the wrong people.
Okay. Why are you choosing to hang around the wrong people?
We'll need to ask Pedro. Pedro that is listening to this.
So my question would be, why are you choosing to hang out with these people that are draining your energy? If you are classifying your friends and the people around you as losers, then obviously there is a huge misalignment in energy. And it's really important to ask yourself, why are you willing to put up with that when you know that potentially you'd be better off on your own, right? Because even though you're surrounded by all these people, you could still be the most lonely person in the room. Mm-hmm. And I know I've experienced that feeling before, and I'm sure people listening would have as well. And I would rather be alone than be surrounded by people who are not on that same wavelength as me, because I know where I'm going, and that is the most powerful act of self-love, is to commit to that destiny that I know I am here for in this earth, on this world, in this life. I know I'm here to go do that. And by spending time with these people who are taking away from that, that is an ultimate disservice to me and the rest of the world, because what I do will impact the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. Because people think like, oh, it doesn't matter, like I'm just hanging out with these people, whatever. But by you not committing to unlock your full potential, basically you're doing a disservice to everyone around you and the entire world in consequence, because it's ripple effects, right? So you playing it small is actually a disservice to life and everything around you. When you level up, guess what? Everyone around you benefits from that. If you make more money, guess what? I'm sure you're in a position where you can help a friend that has a massive accident, or he can't work anymore, or even take care of his family. If you're physically capable and someone, your girlfriend or friend or whatever, is going to be attacked by someone and you know how to protect, you could step in line, and be like, hey, this is not happening under my watch, kind of thing. Like, by you leveling up on every area of your life, it only makes everything and everyone around you better. So if you're not gonna do it for you, at least do it for the people that you care about. At least do it for everyone else.
100%. I had someone ask me this once, and I'm going to say this to all of you guys. Now, I'm a super no bullshit coach. I have compassion in my heart for my clients when they come through. I will hear their story. Yeah. However, I will not let them sit in their shit. I will not let them stay with the losers when they could be with the winners. And I know that. I can see that in them, and I know that that's what they want. So I will frame the questions, and I will help them, and I will guide them to where they want to be. That is what I do, and that's my purpose as a coach. Now, someone asked me this once, and I'm going to say this on this podcast right now. How dare you choose to play small when you know that by playing big, you're going to help so many other people? How dare you have that disservice on the world? And you choosing to create that when you could be impacting and helping so many other people out there. Like, how dare you choose that when you could be playing big? That's what someone said to me. And from that moment, I was like, you're right. I need to stop playing small. And I never did since then.
Yeah, nice. Keep playing big, please, because it seems like you're having a massive impact. And yeah, like it's, yeah. I'm you're speaking my language as well, because I'm kind of like, I also coach some filmmakers and content creators as well, and I'm the kind of person that gives tough love. I think no bullshit. Yeah, and especially because of the background that I have. Like, I don't know if you know much about Venezuela, but it's a third world country. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of scarcity, a lot of people struggling, and I've seen bad, like actual bad stuff happens, and people still finds a way to smile. People still finds a way to be happy. no one has time to be depressed and all this stuff that I've learned in countries like Australia now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a bit of a tough love when it comes to that, because I'm like, stop it, like take
100%.
action, do what you know. That's the thing as well. Like, most people know what they need to do when they actually look in the mirror and they ask the right questions, like, okay, why am I still hanging out with these guys? Why am I still playing small? Why am I not pursuing this thing that I love so much? Why am I still in this toxic relationship? You will have the answer. I guarantee you, if you look straight in the mirror and you ask those questions, you will have your answers. You know exactly why you're not doing it. So you know what you need to do. But having people like you as well that can tell them, like, hey, keep them accountable. I think that accountability is one of the biggest things as well. Having someone that will call you on your bullshit and tell you, like, hey, you need to stop. You keep self-sabotaging. Why are you doing this? You already know you shouldn't be doing that, and just speaking into that level. What are you currently struggling with? Because obviously, it seems like you have your life in order, that everything's going pretty well for you. I can get a really good energy that you're in a good, you're getting a good momentum in your life right now. But what are you struggling with right now?
What am I struggling with right now? Right now, in this moment, I am just here with you. So I don't have really an answer for that. I guess, like, what specifically would you want to know?
I'm curious to know, because we all have challenges. Regardless of where you are, life never gets perfect, right? Like, even when you make the money, you might not have the friends. When you have the friends, you might not have the money. When you get, the dream job, you might not really have your family, or you might lack in relationships. When you get the relationships, you might not have friends. So what of the buckets currently for you? Because every time I meet like people that are trying to do things bigger than themselves, or that they're in this line of work, I'm always curious to know what is their biggest obstacle right now.
I think it's really important to frame what I'm going to say is that having a growth mindset is seeing your obstacles as opportunities. So the obstacle is never really the issue. The struggle is never actually a problem unless you choose for it to be. People with a fixed mindset will look at the problem, look at the struggle, look at the obstacle and see it as just that. Whereas when something comes through in my experience that feels a bit, I don't know if I felt comfortable, like whatever, I sit and go, okay, universe, like let's go, let's play. Because whenever we experience contrast, usually it's actually going to teach us what we actually do want. So for me right now, like, it's really hard to pinpoint and say like, oh my gosh, like this is what I'm struggling with, because when I get those things that come through, I'm like, yes, let's go, let's play, let's go back to the drawing board, let's rewrite what I wanted to do, or let's change something, and essentially seeing these things as opportunity. So for me right now, like I can't actually think of something that comes to the top of my mind. However, I think it's just balancing that go and when to slow. And for me right now, it's a go time, and I'm doing lots of events interstate, speaking at schools. And if anyone's listening and wants me to speak at their school, like definitely hit me up. I'm speaking at schools. I'm running events in Melbourne when I go down next week. I'm running them on the Gold Coast and plan to be international by the end of the year. So essentially it's just like that love hustle at the moment. And for me in the past, like I remember having periods where there was no work on, and I was complaining about that and feeling scarcity and feeling uncomfortable in that time. And I remember saying to myself, like in that storm, like this is just like time for me, because there's going to be a time in my life where I will need to go, and this is just creating that energy for me right now so I can go and do that. So right now I'm in that go time, and instead of like complaining and making it feel like, oh my gosh, and choosing to believe that this is a struggle, it's like, actually, this is what I've been wanting all along. And to have that appreciation for that time in the past where I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't have work on. It's like, actually, well, now I do. So let's make the most of it. Let's go. Let's push through. Let's stay disciplined. Let's be accountable, and let's have integrity with what I teach, which is to focus on what we want out of these situations that happen to us, and find that how it happens for us, and find that like the beauty in those challenges, in those struggles, because that's what they are. They're just teaching us like how powerful we really are.
Yeah. And you definitely need the obstacles. You definitely need the losses. You need to know that the journey is not going to be easy, because it's going to build some resilience to you so you can get actually the things that you want. I was filming fights actually last weekend. And I do martial arts and other stuff. Cool. And so every now and then I also film some events. And I have one of my mates that he's a fucking savage. Yeah. And he's probably going to make it big if he sticks to it. And he lost. I think, off the top of my head, I think that's his first loss. And just seeing him like in his face, like how the moment slipped away, you know. But just also knowing, like I was just looking at him like, I just knew you need this, you know, you need this loss right now just to, you know, reframe it, like build your resilience, your confidence, just to let you know that, hey, nothing is guaranteed, but if you work really hard, you can get whatever you want, you know. So I just look at him, and I remember I gave him a hug, and I just told him, man, you need this, you know, it is gonna do you well.
Yeah. Well, contrast in our life is going to show us what we do want, right? The 4 or 5 steps of manifestation. Life gives us contrast. Life gives us those moments where we go, oh, like that was a shit relationship, or that was a annoying boss, or that was a shit school experience, or that was a shitty house that I lived in, whatever it is, right? Whatever that tough time is for you. Life gives us contrast, which then step 2, we ask for what we want. We go, okay, I want to have this in my next relationship. I want to have this in my next job, this in my next home, etc., right? Then step 3, it's actually given to you straight away through the laws of the universe. Energetically, that thing exists already. If you think of it, it's already done. It's created. You think it, you can create it, yeah? If you believe you can, you can.
You can.
Step 4 is then allowing it, receiving that energy, becoming the energy of that of which you want to attract, because the law of the universe, the law of attraction, right, is that of which is unto itself draws the same thing together. So think about that thinking feeling loop I spoke about before. If you're feeling and thinking a certain way of like, I love myself, I'm in that vibration, then you're going to feel love, and therefore you're going to emit that energy, that electromagnetic field, and most likely attract that person into your life as well. Those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like it feels so magic, the miracle, that job that comes through and it's so easy, it's so effortless, that idea, all of those things come through when you line the energy up, you ask for what you want and you start receiving it, you start showing up as that person. And those times where life gives us those contrast moments where you lose in a match, you injure yourself or whatever it is, right? Those are the biggest blessings, because that redirects our path to exactly who we truly want to be deep down.
Yeah, completely agree with all of that. I love it. I love everything we're speaking about.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. When it comes to business, what are the biggest things you have learned in business? Because I think regardless of whatever you're doing, like obviously this is target a lot to creative entrepreneurs, or let's say filmmakers and stuff. But I think a lot of people are just stuck to the tools and they don't make time to also learn how to operate and run a business so it can be profitable and they can actually make a full-time living of it.
Yeah.
So now you've been doing this for a little while. What have you learned on the business aspect of what you do?
My first thing would be to do what you love. Find what you love. Spend time finding what you truly love and what you're good at. Because if you start working in a space where you do what you love every single day, it's not going to feel like work. And I know that everyone does say that, but it's true. I've truly found what I love. So for me, I show up every single day without question, because that's just what I do. It's who I am. right? So that would be my first thing. Find what you love and allow yourself time to experience what that specifically is. If you don't know, go out there and experience life until you do, because that thing will come for you when you are ready. Okay. Secondly, would be to learn from a mentor. Go out there, hire a coach, get a mentor, get advice from someone who's doing the thing that you want to be doing, who's working with the people that you want to work with, who is making the money that you want to make. Go spend time and get them in your environment. Show up in their environment. Like, be around them as much as you can and absorb as much content from them as you can. Like, that would be my two biggest pieces of advice. Do what you love and go surround yourself with people who are doing the thing.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and the mentor side of things, the coaching in general, like, if you can get whatever you want to get by yourself, you truly can, unless it's something very specific. But having a mentor will accelerate that to a rate that I can't even explain. Like, I've done this. I've never had a mentor for, filmmaking and the business of filmmaking kind of thing. I actually had it wrong. So I met one of my best friends, and he kind of like became a mentor in a way. But before having him, my journey was so slow. Like, it took me so many years, because also I'm a dentist back home. So I had to start doing this thing of making videos from scratch. I had no idea how to do it. And all the information is out there on YouTube and all these things. But learning from year 1 to year 4, it took me so long to learn the things that I learned by then. And then I met my friend, and in a year, it felt like I learned more than all those 4 years together.
100%.
So just having a mentor or a coach that is doing, like you said, the thing that you want to be doing is key if you want to get there faster, because also life is happening too quick. You don't want to be losing time to figuring out the thing. You want to enjoy doing the thing, right? So what better way of doing that than getting someone that is already there, that is doing exactly what you want to be doing, that has all the experience, that knows all the roadblocks, and like how to get there quicker, more efficiently, less painfully. Why not do that? Like, now I look back and I'm like, I'm so dumb. I should have gotten a coach. How much coaching have you done for yourself, and how much money have you invested as well? I'm always curious about that.
I've spent over $60,000 in mentorships and coaching and courses. I've spent that, like, at that point in time, it was like my whole life savings on coaching and mentorship. And I credit that to the reason why I am exactly where I am today, working with the world's top athletes and entrepreneurs. Like, that has shaped me to who I am. And at that point in time, I was like, I should have spent that money on something and that was more fun and enjoyable. However, like, one of my 3 pillars to having a growth mindset that I teach my clients and I teach at my events is that you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't. And there's no point looking back on the past and going, I should have done this, or I'm so dumb, I should have done this instead. It's like, because you didn't know that back then, and that was the path of least resistance. And for me back then, doing the coaching, doing the mentorships, and learning a shit ton about business, about mindset, it's literally why I am now living my manifestation of what I've always dreamed of. Yeah.
What's the best advice you have ever gotten?
What's the best advice I have ever gotten? To trust yourself, that all the answers that you could ever search for do come from within. And that has been my biggest, guidance throughout this whole journey, is just to trust that it's coming, or that I am on the right path, or I'm doing the right thing. And when you trust yourself, like, that is when you can take that leap towards that thing that you want to do. And like we were speaking about earlier, everyone that's listening knows that thing that they need to do. And when you're leaping out of that comfort zone, you don't trust yourself. Like, no way you're going to jump out there. It's just like way too crazy. However, for me, developing that confidence and self-trust to know that I can go up there, I can come to this podcast and speak about what I love, and know that it's going to flow so amazingly and have no like preparation, or go speak at an event and all these things. I know I can do all these things because I trust myself. So I would say the best advice I have ever received would be to trust yourself.
And trust is important because regardless of how much confidence, belief you have, and all the proof and all these things, there will be a point, several in fact, in which you will have to take a leap and just trust that you will land. That's the reality. There is times where, regardless of all the coaching you have, all the experience you have in whatever you're doing, all the work you have done, all the confidence, all the belief, there will be a time where you just need to know that you can trust yourself, because you're gonna have to make a decision of either jump into the known or just stay where you are. But the jump has no guarantees. So trusting yourself is gonna play a very important role when that time comes. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
What's the worst advice I have ever received? The worst advice I've ever received. To be realistic. Yeah. To be realistic and choose a goal more achievable. Because when you share your goals with some people, they're going to hear them to the capacity of what they think is possible. Yeah. Everyone has different perception of what is possible for them. And so when sharing your goals with other people, most likely they're going to celebrate you to the extent that they believe of what is possible and limit you to what they believe is possible. So for example, like if you were to share your goal with someone and they say you should be realistic, they're usually thinking themselves, well, I can't achieve that, so why should you? So if you're going to share your goals with others and your dreams, know that if someone's telling you to be realistic or you can't do it, it's just a reflection on them.
Yeah, completely agree. Be very careful. That's so important too. Who are you sharing your wins and your struggles with? Because that person might just actually put you down for it. So yeah, but it comes back again to what we were talking about, like surrounding yourself with the right people. How have you crafted the circle that you have now? Like how does your friend group look like, the close people to you?
I have very close people to me and very few. In the past, I wanted to be friends with everyone and anyone. And I'm a very social person. Like when I go into the gym, I'm talking to everyone. It's quite a funny sight to see, to be honest. And anyone that knows me and that goes to the gym on this podcast will be like, yep, that I'm literally so sociable. And the people that are really my close network, who I make an effort to call, who I make an effort to text with, that I would consider like spending time with and really hanging out with them, like these people are very highly successful entrepreneurs. I have people that are doing crazy amounts of revenue that, like, when I first met them, I was like, it changed my whole perception around money. These people are double, triple my age. And yeah, it's very interesting, the people that I've attracted, my close friends, like none of them are my age, which is really cool to
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Yeah.
And most of them are like 28 and above. So yeah, like my oldest friend, he's like 59, 60. And that it's just, it's awesome to be surrounded with people who are such open thinkers and creators. I know that I am super blessed to have them in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. They're blessed as well to have you.
They are.
So I'm pretty sure they're stoked as well. What are the 3 biggest lessons you can share with people right now? If we're talking to someone that is just getting started on the journey, or even the young version of yourself, what are the 3 biggest pieces of advice that you could give them in order to win in life and build the life of their dreams.
Awesome. Great questions, by the way, Nelson. I love these.
I love how you close your eyes when I ask you some of these questions, because it's like, okay, she's deeply thinking for this answer.
I
like
want to
that.
speak from my heart. I think in today's world, a lot of people just speak from their logical minds. And I know this podcast has been quite sciencey. However, when I do speak, it's definitely from my heart and the passion for what it is that I teach. So I trust that people will receive that when they listen to this show. And my tips for like winning and creating your dream life and manifesting and getting out there, doing the things, getting those big goals and dreams ticked off your list, right? Squeezing the most out of life. It would be to go back what I said before, what I said earlier, definitely experiencing life to find out that thing that you love, to discover what you love in life and what you're good at. That's going to help you immensely, because if you find that, you just take it with both hands and run with it. Trust that, which then ties into trusting yourself, trusting your path, that thing that you love, that's it. Like if that lights you up, like imagine the amount of people you'll be able to inspire when you continue to follow that path of love. Right? There's so many people in this world that are doing things because they feel like they have to. You can sense the energy of that versus someone that's doing what they love. Most of the people that are really successful in whatever it is that they do what they love. Right? So that would be my 2 steps. It would be find the thing, trust the thing, and then go do the thing. Go do it. Take that action. What is that thing right now that could be really easy to do that's going to somehow compound and be a compounding factor in that end goal? So let's say your goal is to be healthier. Would it be eating a chocolate bar this evening, or would it be having an apple or a fruit salad? Like, what is that one thing that is so easy that you could do right now? Could it be going for a run? Could it be listening to this podcast while you're walking, or like doing the housework? Could it be that you go message or DM that person? Could it be go ask that person out on a date that you've been thinking about? Like, oh, that'll be weird. No, just go ask them. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You stay in the same position that you're in now. You're alive. It ain't so bad, right? What about for business, for sport? Could it be like creating that program? Could it be like messaging that person that you were kind of a little bit uncomfortable to message because like maybe they're too good for you, but actually go message them, and then you might realize that maybe down the track they'll be a part of your crew, they'll be a part of your team, they'll be a part of your friends, your network. Like the amount of people that in the past I was a little bit intimidated by are now my bestest friends. So it would be find the thing, trust the thing, and go do it.
I love it. I love that how you tied it all together as well. And yeah, man, just do it. Like it's a lot of people, honestly, they already have everything in place. They just need to do it. They're just scared. They're just still, with the old beliefs as well that, no, I'm not good enough, or what would happen? No, this is too risky. It's like, just have one chance. I had my birthday last week.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And I was talking to people. I made even like a reel of it. So just talking to people, one of the biggest lies I've been told is that you have time. You do. Life can be very long these days and all this stuff. And like in some stages, it goes very slow. But in reality, life goes very quick, especially because nothing is guaranteed. The only guarantee you have is that you're going to die. That's reality. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter if you were born in Venezuela or in Australia, how you look. It doesn't matter. We're all going to die. You can take care of yourself at the highest level. You can be ultra fit. You can eat the cleanest you can. You can feed your mind correctly. You can get your 8 hours sleep. And guess what? You can still go to buy something in the shops and get run over by someone. So life can be very quick. Even though it can be long, it could actually be very quick. So you should have some sort of urgency to whatever you want to do. And like you were saying, just go do the thing, trust the thing, find the thing that you want to be doing, because there's no time to lose. That's one of the biggest things that people told me when I was way younger, like, oh, it's okay, you have a lot of time, or you're only 18, you're only 20, you're only 21, whatever it is. not really. Life goes very quick. Life goes very quick. I got here when I was 23. That was 7 years ago. It has gone like that. So please don't waste any time. Have some urgency to whatever you want to be doing. Because also, this is what I found when I took that leap of faith, and it probably happened to you as well. Once you took that leap of faith to do that thing that you want to be doing and that you feel like you should be doing, life becomes so much more exciting. Like the things you're gonna experience, the people you're gonna meet, the kind of things you will accomplish are unfathomable, and it will only happen if you start doing the thing. So just get started. Also, thank you so much for coming today. I love everything that you're about. Please keep doing it. I'm sure you're having a massive impact, and I guarantee this helped one person, which in the end, that's the whole mission for me every episode, is that this help at least one person to
definitely.
either change their thinking or install a new perspective in their heads or provide them with some tools to do that thing that they want to be doing. And I'm 100% sure that this helped at least one person.
Yeah, I think so too.
Where can they find you, and what kind of services do you offer to people? Where can they follow you and support you and listen even to your podcast?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so as Nelson mentioned before, I am the host of the Generation Elevation podcast. Now, you can find that on iTunes or Spotify, and essentially it's just all mindset, spirituality, health, development. So if you are keen to go listen to that, definitely jump on, let me know what you think. I am very active on Instagram, so you can find me at Elise Riley, ELISE.Riley, RILEY, 2 Y's at the end. I am also on LinkedIn. I've got a Facebook group for my podcast as well. However, usually you'll just be able to connect with me quite easily through Instagram. So essentially, just if you resonated with what I said today, if you want to work with me on a deeper level, then hit me up on the DMs. We can have a chat. I do offer a 12-week coaching package or a 20-week mentorship, and I'm currently in the process now of creating a website hub with heaps of courses and things like this, almost like for people who are the hero of their own movie to come in, grab their superpower weapon, their tool, whatever it is they need, whether it's relationships, money mindset, manifestation, health, wellness, etc. You can come in, grab your tool, and then go off into the world and go and crush it. So that's my vision. That's what's coming up in the next couple of months. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to creating that. So yeah, like I said, if you resonated with today, just send me a message. I'd love to connect with you.
Sounds like you're into superheroes.
I am. I'm like a huge Marvel, Star Wars nerd.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
Oh, everyone always asks me this, and I'm going to say I love Doctor Strange because he's like the symbolism behind the movie is super spiritual, which I love. Like the spiritual person in me kind of like geeks out on that. I love any of like the Avengers combos, especially like Infinity War. That was epic.
Yeah. That's like literally my favorite movie.
Yeah. It's such a vibe, right? Yeah. Like I love how all the people come together in the end. So it's just so good. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I think just like the movies themselves. I love Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I could listen.
Who's the favorite villain?
The favorite villain. I love Loki. Have you seen the season with Loki?
Yes.
Oh my god, how could
awesome.
you not like Loki after that, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna say Loki.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
All right, team. If you enjoyed this episode, please give the extra mile. If there's one thing that would really help the podcast to get to more people, will be you leaving a review. If you can go leave a review on Apple Podcasts, that will be incredible. We'll really appreciate it. Make sure that it's 5 stars, nothing less than that. If you want to support the podcast, make sure to subscribe as well on YouTube. Follow us on social media at The Creative Grid on every platform. I'm at Nelfalife on every platform as well. And I will see you on the next episode. Good vibes for everyone.
Yes.
How was that?
So good.
Yeah,
awesome.
no.
Thank you for having me. That was really cool. You asked amazing questions.
No, thank you.